continue to echo today in areas as far-reaching as the racial wealth gap, educational achievement, and violent and deadly encounters between law enforcement and communities of color across the country and right here in Portland. Further, institutional and systemic practices and policies also serve to reinforce the hate that spreads to the personal level, to that on-the-street level. We have a history as a city and a state that literally intended to separate us. We have groups coming into our community intent on dividing us with hate. But we are thankful today for your statement that we will stand together, united against these historical and systemic forces, united against today's hateful forces, to say that together we will not tolerate hate. We stand together united in peace, respect, inclusivity, and equity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lazo. We appreciate your being here.
Buenas tardes. Thank you, Mayor Wheeler and City Commissioners representing our board. Welcome, Commissioner Harvesting. My name is Maria Garcia. I am a woman, immigrant, business owner, and one of the 3 co-chairs of the New Portlanders Policy Commission. Because my leadership is rooted in community organizing, I believe in the values you have listed in this resolution and the language of them being rooted in peace, respect, inclusivity, and equity. But I cannot say that it's because of our city's strength and diversity. I must tell you, Diane, that I am also a member of the activist community and I advocate for immigrants and oppressed people throughout Portland and surrounding communities, including incarcerated Latino men in high security prisons all over Oregon. I have found it hard to promote the values listed in this resolution when engaging with City of Portland. I have witnessed the lack of dignity and value placed on community members seeking resolution for their experiences. I have witnessed violence and rhetoric used to deflect from accountability by the very agencies and leaders who stand up and speak on the terms and values of equity and inclusion. I have sat with members of this city who have spoken for hours about the need for civic engagement and direct support and education in all sectors of the city business and management, only to be rejected when they push toward the due process. This city does not have the answers. None of us really do. We have to truly want to be inclusive in order to add texture for this type of resolution. A community partnership takes an established and committed effort to unite and build. It is time for us to engage in our neighborhoods and develop relationships that matter. Our children need this and we need this for our future. I like the idea of a resolution against white supremacy and alt-right hate groups, but it does not make me feel any safer. As an advocate for incarcerated youth and Latino men, I assure you that many white supremacist individuals exist everywhere, including the judicial system, county jails, and state prisons. Severe punishment and tough on crime laws are not working as we expected. Measure 11 is a clear example. Personal experience has revealed this problem is at worst at prison. It has gotten so bad that people segregate white with whites, black with blacks, Latinos with Latinos. We had riots of more than 200 people inside a high-security prison in Salem due to racism in 2016 and 2017. Being a Mexican national, a victim of the first attack, because I advocate for him. What does this say about this community, about us, about our safety? The moment we convicted people with racist beliefs that have committed hate crimes, they're going to socialize and strengthen ties with their peers in jail who have similar beliefs, and even recruit innocent ones that will be joining out of fear just for survival. Eventually, these individuals will get released and commit hate crimes again and continue recruiting more people. We need cohesive solutions addressing not just inside the city, but inside county and state prisons. Addressing racism from inside the walls also need to be a priority. I ask City Council to work in partnerships with county jails and Oregon Department of Corrections to make sure these individuals receive the attention needed, implementing perhaps a dropout program like other states. Also, this resolution cannot make any of us safer if we cannot even discuss what happened in August of 2016 to a child in this city who has not been the first, not the last. He happened to be the one we quickly forget, the one whose name should also be listed in this document. I will say his name on the record and extend to the council that when we speak of resolutions against hate, that we should make sure that all of us are partnered in making it work. Bernard Bruce mattered to this community and was killed by white supremacists publicly and without remorse. Please say his name and stand up for all communities affected by working not selectively towards a better Portland, but by holding leaders accountable, providing resources to people committed to this work. Gracias.
Thank you. We appreciate your being here today. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, respected mayor, respected commissioners. Congratulations, dear Joanne, Commissioner Hardesty. And I'm very glad today, growing up with 9 sisters, to see a majority woman in the city council. Peace be upon you all. I'm very thankful for being here today. My name is Wajdi Saeed. I'm a member of the Arab American community and the American Muslim community. I'm a member of the New Portlander Policy Commission, and more important as well, a member of the beloved community. According to Harry Belafonte, he says that although slavery may have been abolished, the crippling poison of racism still persists and the struggle still continues. And according to my teachers, saying that racism comes in many different forms. Sometimes it's a subtle and private, and sometimes it's public and overt, and sometimes it's violent, and sometimes it's harmless. But it's definitely here. It's something that I think we are all guilty of, and we have to make sure that we deal with our own personal racism in the right way. Racism stinks, xenophobia stinks, bigotry stinks, hypocrisy stinks, Islamophobia stinks. Whatever our race, religion, color, we must stand in solidarity, change codes with our institutions, and speak loudly and passionately against racism of all shapes and all forms. Our Constitution states that we are all one nation under one God. It also states that we are created equal and no one person bears superiority over other. This is the opposite of what white supremacy stands today. The very ideology of white supremacy has been since the slavery, since the indigenous ethnic cleansing, stands against everything that this country or these founding fathers and mothers have created. It is inherent racism and a culture of hate lie against the very principles on which this nation and these great religions were founded. It is time that we, the people, reclaim our narrative, the narrative of humanity, a dignified humanity, as humanity, and revive our nation's founding principles. There is no black and white, and there is no yellow and brown. There is only one color, that is the human color, the human race. Our dear beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, linked our humanity to one body. If one part of this body aches, the rest of it rushes to help bring about healing and strength. We're currently aching within our homes, we're aching with our schools, we're aching with our city, we're aching within our state, and within the liberal and the conservative circles. It is easy for us to point fingers at conservatives, but really we are all guilty. Each and every one of us need to collectively act to bring about healing and unifying to our private and public squares in a meaningful way and in a holistic manner. Over 50 years ago, Malcolm X, Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, addressed the same issue. He says, if you stick 9 inches into my back and pull it out 3 inches, that is not progress. That is not progress. Even if you pull it all the way out, that is not progress. Progress is healing the wound, and America hasn't even begun to pull out the knife. That was over 50 years, and here we are in the 21st century in 2019, having barely scratched the surface. I'll close with the following saying that Martin Luther King has said. Dr. King, he says, I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war, that the bright daybreak of peace and the brotherhood and sisterhood can never become a reality. I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final say. Now is the time, my dear respected Mayor and respected commissioners, now is the time that we do something boldly. I urge the City Council today to proclaim a unified stance against white supremacy, against all of racism within city government, once and for all, for the safety and the dignity of our city, and once for all, for the safety and dignity of our communities, our children, and our humanity. Respected councilmen and women, it is very important that we come from the lips talk into an action, into a system of change to reform within our city government and city of Portland and the state of Oregon. Thank you for your bold leadership, and thank you, and may God bless you and bless your families and bless us all. Amen.
Thank you, Washington. Thank you, all three of you, for your testimony. We appreciate it. So, colleagues, that completes our invited testimony. At this point, Carla will open it up for public testimony. How many people do we currently have signed up?
We have 8 people signed up.
Very good. We can extend 3 minutes per person, please. And I would just ask people, when your 3 minutes is up, if you could please stop so I don't have to play microphone now. 3 minutes. You'll see the yellow light come on 30 seconds before your time is up. Red light comes on when your time is expired. Thank you, Carla. The first 3 minutes.
First 3 are Randy Blazak, Ms. Dacia Graber, and Shedrick J. Wilkins.
And has everybody signed up who wants to sign up? Very good, Carla. Close the list, please. Good afternoon. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commission. My name is Randy Blazak. I'm the chair of the Oregon Coalition Against Hate Crimes. The coalition has been in existence since 1997 as a coalition of community and local and federal and state government agencies to combat hatred. And I've been spending a lot of time talking about the history of white supremacy in our state, but today, in my brief time, I'd like to talk about the impact of hate on our communities. Not just hate that comes from things that are defined as criminal by our state intimidation statutes and federal civil rights laws, but things that are legally protected by the First Amendment that go on as hate incidents. But what we know from the research is that the impact of hate is wide, and there are ripples of hate. We know that the victims of hate experience greater psychological trauma than normal crime victims and normal victims of negative social interactions, including longer depression, more likely to change their behavior, more likely to experience fear, and even higher rates of depression. And they experience those incidents much differently than normal victims of crime. But on the second way are the members of those communities who also experience waves of anxiety that they might be the next targets. And there's sort of this ripple effect that goes out beyond the immediate victims and the targets of that hatred, where those folks experience greater levels of anxiety, including changing their behavior patterns. They may be afraid to go out. They may be afraid to exist in the state. And then the next wave of impact is on neighboring communities, other marginalized communities who feel like they may be targeted as well. And so there was this incredible ripple effect that flows out through the communities, and then the communities themselves begin to suffer. those communities expand over a physical space, but also across time. Those things that happened 30 years ago can be discussed by those communities like they happened yesterday. There is a real similarity with post-traumatic stress syndrome around these issues of hate that exist, and people are constantly reminded by stories in the news or other incidents that happen to other people that raises those anxiety levels. And then lastly, the place itself becomes stigmatized by those incidents of hate. Can you say Laramie, Wyoming, or can you say Jasper, Texas, without thinking of the crimes that happened there over 20 years ago? Similarly, Portland, Oregon, because of the murder of Mulugeta Straw and the incident that happened on the Max in 2017, have been associated with these crimes. And I get regular calls from people outside the state saying, can I be safe in Portland, Oregon? Can I be safe in a place where the alt-right marches, where these horrible crimes have happened? Is this a welcoming place? And so those impacts are